I think people are very intimidated by contemporary art, which I'm one of them. I think as well it's the way that arts and culture are communicated. People think it is very highbrow, it has to be something kind of opera or something way out of their reach or what they understand.
I don't think I really engaged in it. I thought maybe it wasn't for me, that it was for posh people.
Oh, I'm definitely towards the complete novice. Definitely, I mean, yeah, I know of art.
And I think to myself, why is that? Like, I could do that, but then my work wouldn't, if I did exactly the same, it wouldn't be recognised as art. So why is one artist recognised as art and somebody else who can do exactly the same not?
Right, so we want you to have a look at this piece of modern art and give us your first impressions.
Is that it there?
I'll probably hang it somewhere.
It's very coordinated with my outfit at the moment, apart from the scarf.
Who decides that is art? Is it the person that does it? Or is it the art gallery that's decided it is?
Thanks for signing up to be Art Champions. We're going to go on these fantastic trips to the stores of Arts Council collection.
And you guys are going to be introducing the people of Sunderland to the Arts Council collection. We're going to have a look at a couple of pieces that are going to be coming to Sunderland. And we hope then when the exhibition arrives, you're going to take your family and friends and say, I know all about this one. Let me tell you all about it.
I think I seen the original flyer that went out. I got an email about it and I didn't think of it for myself. I thought it for one of the young ladies that I work with.
She just said, we've had an email come through, Charmaine. She said, I don't know if you're interested, you like your art, don't you? And I sort of like explained to her, I really like Grayson Perry. You know, I love him. And he's mental as well. She was sort of like saying, well, there's this thing with the Arts Council talking about being an art champion, you know. She said, I'll just fill out this email with you. Come on, she said, to give you something to do.
Since I've hit 50, I'm trying to find new challenges. I'm trying to push the boundaries and do new things that open my mind a little bit, if that makes sense.
I'm excited about everything, yeah. Even going with people I've not really known, yeah, it's a new experience for me. And then where we are going, I'm excited about seeing things, everything that is going to happen.
I often talk about with the island of Sunderland. People in Sunderland don't go out the island and they don't come onto the island. Well, actually, that needs to change because people do need to come to the island of Sunderland and they need to see what we're about. You know, we're a great city at the end of the day.
It brings so much pleasure when art's in the city. And then, yeah, there'll be bits that you kind of roll your eyes at and you don't particularly feel fond of, but there's bound to be something that, you know, makes you smile and makes you think a bit harder.
We're just heading down to Yorkshire Sculpture Park today. I haven't really looked into it too much because I wanted to kind of get down there and find out firsthand what's out there. But I'm just looking forward to learning, really.
I've never been to a sculpture park or a park with any arts before. So I think that this will be really exciting.
Right, come on then, give us the camera.
Go on then.
What do we do?
It's on, I think.
Tell us what the point of art is, Posy, please.
Yeah.
It's a stimulating.
It's interesting, it's like something that you kind of inherently know, that you're like, no, there is a point. But it's hard to talk about.
Yeah, you're right, yeah, it is.
I'm really looking forward to holding the little Anthony Gormley sculptures. And that's what I remember from the meeting, that we're going to hold them.
Has anybody heard about Anthony Gormley's work before? He's a major figure in British sculpture and a lot of his work focuses on the human body. And this is a tiny fraction of the work because Field for the British Isles features 40,000 terracotta figures.
It looks a bit like E.T.
So it's actually, yeah. Out of interest, is there a kind of valuation on it? Is there, or?
A valuation, it's worth a lot of money. But obviously it's not the kind of work that a private collector would necessarily have because you wouldn't be able to install it in your home very easily.
I wouldn't follow the map because that takes time to do. I would just go and just wander.
I think I get very stimulated visually.
Yeah, I think that you could put a load of pressure on having to think that you've got to walk out understanding it, and you often don't.
Saying that looks like a belly,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it's a real
And that looks like a bag.
Oh my gosh, it's covered in swastikas.
There you go.
Well, I think it refers to an ancient symbol.
I like it.
There are some unusual things in there, and some things look really awkward, but I enjoyed looking at them.
What do I think? I think it's freaky as.
Somebody said
But there's something really nice about it at the same time. I don't know, I get lost in it, I do. Completely lost in it. So you can look at it for ages and ages and ages and still see something else.
It's lovely. It's very beautiful,
Yeah,
isn't it?
beautiful.
There's just something really lovely about this.
Really lovely.
I was really tentative at first because I thought contemporary art, I thought, I'm not going to enjoy this, but I'm learning more about it now. And I'm hoping that I can share that when I go back. But it's very ambiguous because I'm not sure whether it is a knuckle or it's a piece of anatomy, but it's just fantastic, isn't it, really? Breathtaking. And I don't know anything about contemporary art and I didn't think I'd enjoy that, but I'm really enjoying that.
This is one made from Barbara Hepsworth. It's called The Family of a Man. It looks totally good. Okay, let's turn on the next one.
It's amazing. It is, it's really amazing. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I didn't even know it was here. We're coming back. Come with my husband and the dog.
It's really nice being with everybody and listening to everybody and listening to everybody's interpretations.
What I found is I actually know probably a little bit more than I thought I did, which is something that people back at home should also kind of take on board, that you probably do know a little bit more than you think. So yeah, really good.
It was just like being a child again. I felt like it was some childlike playfulness had come into my mind. It was, what's next? It was like, where we go? What's next? And there was just something around every corner which was totally different.
When we said, what does art make you feel like? I wasn't sure really, but it did make me feel happy.
When I was in secondary school, I don't do drawings, I hate drawings. But coming down here and then going out, seeing different sculptures and all stuff, I'm beginning to have interest and I'm loving it. Meeting the art champions is encouraging me.
I think the emotional reaction comes first, doesn't it? It either interests you, it intrigues you, it fascinates you, it amuses you, and then I think the rational, logical thought process comes in afterwards. So it's emotions first, and then the thinking comes in afterwards.
I think we've only just kind of scratched the surface, and you kind of want to kind of keep going and keep looking and kind of keep seeing.
Hi, we're here with Charmaine and we're ready to see some art.
Hi. I can't wait till we go to London, and experience that now that we've got a bit more knowledge, because I felt a bit unsure when we went to Yorkshire, where I feel a bit more confidence now. I had this preconceived idea that people were posh, better into art, but when I looked at Sarah Lucas, she was brought up, her dad was a milkman. It really changed my idea about art, you know what I mean?
So we've been working on your show now for 4-5 months, I think.
So these all come in?
These all come to Sunderland.
I remember saying, yeah, I like that. I know it's a bit French as well.
When you're up close, though, they're not totally equal. They look equal when you're far away, but when you're actually up close, they're not.
It's beautiful.
The lines move, they dance. When you zone into it, it becomes flat, and then when you just stare.
What's the colour that stands out?
That one for me.
The green.
That green for me.
For me it's pink. If you hear a piece of music, you can enjoy the beat, you can enjoy the rhythm, even if you don't fully understand the lyrics. Then I think pieces of art can be similar. You might not get it immediately, but it causes a gut reaction.
Sarah Lucas who did that one, you know, we were at Yorkshire. That is actually Sarah Lucas. Yeah.
Tights, it was the tights.
It's tights.
Yes.
I think everyone's got so much from it that it doesn't matter where you started from. You've all gone massively forward and seeing and enjoying and being open to more things. So I think everybody has, yeah.
I think we've all grown in confidence massively. Just because we're not fine artists and haven't got a degree in art doesn't mean to say that our opinions don't matter. Your opinions do matter.
This is Frederick Street Art Gallery that's just opened in the Bridges. I went in yesterday and had a look. I would never have looked in. I would just walk past and thought, But I went in.
There's been a compulsion amongst human beings to draw and to have art right from the moment they were able to use their hands to pick up an implement and daub on the cave walls. And I think it's something within us, it's an essential part of what makes us human.
I think that's still one of the questions that I've got, you know, and who decides it is art? So I think there's still lots of questions there, but I think that's what art most probably makes you feel like, to question and to ask lots of different things about it.
Hello everybody, my name's Deborah Doyle. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, to be honest. I've been working in the community for over 15 years. I deliver dance, puppetry. I've been told I'm not an artist, I'm a creator, so I create quite a lot. And my passion at the moment is community play, but I call it a panto because, you know, it's obviously more attractive for people to be involved in a panto. And I write it around local culture and history, and also get the participants who, it's all about confidence really, because the one I wrote a few years ago, 90% of the cast hadn't acted before, and we became this massive community and making costumes, you know, developing things together, which, as I say, isn't deemed as art, but I feel it's art. And it's really interesting to hear that there's people here that aren't confident at the moment, because had this been me a few years ago, I would have been shaking head to foot talking to you guys here. And I've just had a highly commended award for the City of Sunderland for the VCAS Open Arms Awards, which is Community Arts and Culture. Yay! Who'd have thought it? You know, it's just incredible. So what I'm going to say is, please follow your passion, follow your dream, because, oh gosh, it's just, I'm getting emotional as well, sorry. Yeah. Art can come in many forms, and it's also about, if you're working with community, there's that person that'll be in the back of the room that's quiet and nervous, are the people with the most potential. Always believe in yourself and believe that, you know, anyone else can achieve as well. So yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm plugging my panto, because I make things, I create things, and if I can show you a little video, I'll show you one of the ladies who, again, was a very shy person in the back of the room for the last pantomime. Now has made her own costume and is just like
full of life, and it's fantastic to see. So that's me.
So our first major exhibition of works from Arts Council collection opened on the 1st of February. And I know that some of you came to see it. For example, this just proves that it is definitely in Sunderland. It is up in our gallery. So there is lovely Kath having a look at one of the artworks. So the exhibition Received Wisdom explores aging and creativity and celebrates the work of artists who have been making work later on in their lives. So in some cases, there's artworks that have come at the end of a long career making art, or I suppose kind of, after having had a long career making art. So in this exhibition, we've got work from the oldest person to have ever won the Turner Prize, Lubaina Hamid. And in the cases of others, artists have only picked up a paintbrush for the first time at the age of 51. So we've got examples of artists whose work has changed as a result of illness, maybe that's to do with age, or as a result of age-related radicalism, which we know definitely happens too, hey?
In terms of barriers, I would say that the key barrier I faced as an older woman was the society's attitude towards age, or older people, especially women. I feel as an older woman, you're isolated and your voice is unheard. Also, as a Black woman, I often find that there's a lack of space where I can express my work and be understood or have a peer critique.
Collectively, though, need to think about the future, women with big ideas. Well, in Sunderland, the older woman artist could be recognised via a collective website, and also we could exhibit together, but it will require commitment from others and funding. We can't do it alone.
YMP is like a creative outlet for a lot of the people in the North East and Sunderland area. You get to go and meet with other people who have the same interests of you in music and just start creating stuff. Some people do just songwriting, some people do just vocals. You come together and just make something that you're proud of. It's just such a great opportunity. You're performing up there with people who have done it for years, and you're recording in a studio with professionals. I don't know, I can't think of anywhere else you get this kind of opportunity.
So we've got Marty, who's the Lake Poets, and he's just got a ridiculously extensive knowledge about like guitar.
I think for anybody who's ever thought about, art or exhibitions, and they may have had a bit of an image of it, perhaps it's a little bit stuffy, then this is the exhibition for you to really get stuck into, because it's real. Looking back and seeing, what did the pandemic do, what did it mean, and how did it feel? It was a time where the world stood still.
For a time that is relatively recent, it also feels like a million years ago. You felt a little bit caged, which brought out a raft of emotions in all of us.
When we came to thinking about designing an exhibition that reflected on the COVID pandemic, we knew that it was really important to have as many different voices be part of telling that story as possible. Where we are now contains artworks that have been loaned to us from Arts Council collection, alongside artworks by our community groups and from local artists as well.
There was a ubiquitous sight during that first lockdown of public benches being taped up so they weren't being used, and that was a very simple but almost kind of brutal act. Those places are places where you rest. People, will chat on them, and wrapping them in tape just took away that function. And if they didn't have a function, what were they?
All of our young people have been through so much, and this project gave them the opportunity to think outside of those four walls they were stuck in, reflect on what was positive to them, what got them through it, all of those lessons that we've learned during the pandemic.
When we started looking at the pieces, it was a real opportunity to share our experiences and kind of say, well, actually, I relate to this and I relate to that. And it was very interesting to hear that lots of people related to similar pieces. One of the art champions picked bird. You knew it could fly, but it was stuck in this piece, but the facial expressions and everything else it was ready, and that felt a little bit like us towards the end of lockdown, I guess. We were all a little bit like caged animals.
It is not very typical, but I think there's certainly a role for art and science to come together. Looking at the art inspired a lot of conversations with my colleagues that I wouldn't normally have had. Subjects like helplessness, isolation. They are quite tricky to explain with science. I think viewing the art encourages you to be more attentive. It encourages you to look critically like you would if you're diagnosing an issue with people.
I think making artwork, it's kind of programmed into us. From the first things we do as a kid, picking up a crayon and making a mark, it's like a thing. I am here, I was there. When that is in combination with something that was momentous, like the pandemic was, I think it's a very natural thing to want to commemorate that in some way.
Creative Age looked particularly at artworks that focused on touch and care. Lots of them are carers themselves or are cared for. So they worked with Gilly Rogers to create a series of ceramic figures that are all reaching out for a hug.
We're a group of women over 50, and it's a time in your life, when your family have grown up and you have this time to free flow with your creativity. And I joined the group and I didn't know where to start with my artwork, but we spoke about COVID and our experiences of the pandemic, and I lost my mum to COVID. And I read some letters of my mum's, and she used to write in ink, and the tears started to flow, and I saw the ink moving on the page, and I thought, this is my inspiration. So all the grief and emotion I just poured onto this piece of paper. I used inks, I used copper, because COVID can't live on copper, so that's a protective thing for me. The hand sanitizer, and I know it's got 90% alcohol, so I was spraying it on the ink for that to move and flow like the tears. But I wanted it also to be bright, so it's more of a sign of hope. I mean, the pandemic hasn't just been about grief, there has been hope.
So in Sangini, we work with older women's group. It was as if life has given them a chance to pause and look around and enjoy the nature and be able to connect with it. And that's what inspired them to create this collective piece. Felting requires, wool to be pierced with a needle. And that women found quite therapeutic. It was actually jabbing. It was almost they were taking something out of their system. Yes, the exhibition came out from an experience of trauma, but really the response is positive.
I've seen quite a lot of Anthony Gormley's stuff. If not in person, then I'm sort of quite familiar with it, as many of us are, through The Angel of the North and the figures on the beach at Crosby. And I've longed to see this in person.
Anthony Gormley is a major figure in British sculpture, and a lot of his work focuses on the human body. And this is a tiny fraction of the work, because Field for the British Isles features 40,000 terracotta figures, all made by hand by a community of people in St Helens.
I think there's something really unique about a piece of art that is created by lots and lots of people, but it's from the vision of one man.
For me, I was thinking, is it his artwork? How can you call that his art when you've got all them people to do it? It should be the people's credit as well.
There's a fine line, isn't there?
If you think about a building, the kind of architect gets the credit, but it's made out of all of these individual pieces.
And what he wanted people to do was to get a lump of clay and do the simplest possible action to turn it into a person. And they could only use the space in their hand, and they could only use a pencil to make 2 eyes.
I did research on actually gone because it was the one that we asked a lot of questions about last week. So when he became an artist, and this is what really struck me, is that he was very lonely because he used to do a lot of artwork on his own, and that's the reason why he started doing community pieces of art. And I think that maybe these people that were involved in this now feel like they've actually made a contribution. For him to involve the community, I think is really amazing for him because he'd worked on his own for a lot of years and he liked being with people, so why wouldn't you do it with a group of people?
It's a field of inanimate people who are looking back at people looking at them. It's a kind of mirror. It goes backwards and forwards. And it just speaks to me in a way that I can't quite explain, but I think it's fascinating. I think they're beautiful pieces of art. If it did come to Sunderland, I think it would be tremendous.
We suggested, well, how about it coming to Sunderland? And then when it did, absolutely euphoric, to then be part of helping with the installation, it's just been fantastic.
And just getting an insight as to how this is going to be set up.
The entire process should take about 4 days. So if you've got teams of 20 every day for 4 days, pretty much solidly, that kind of gives you the idea of the scope of this. It's pretty big.
When you have that lead in through the corridor and it's completely confined space and then it opens out into this huge sea of figures, I think it's just a kind of wow moment.
Once you see thousands of them kind of laid out in front of you and see all the different influences and see the fact that people have kind of used their own creativity to make them what they are, really impactful, really quite almost emotional, I'd say, to be honest.
You have to see it in the flesh to be able to understand and appreciate how big it is. And it's amazing, Sunderland have got this installation.
Hi, my name is Georgie and welcome to Where There's Space to Grow.
So what you're about to see now is an exhibition that is very different from traditional museum exhibitions. It is split into 2 different sections. We have the light and the darker side, which reflect the different tones of the works within them. It is also an exhibition curated by young people, which is something that isn't necessarily seen within museum spaces.
The Celebrate Different Collective is a collection of young people who want to work within art to show young people can organise events just like adults can, and it's quite inspiring.
We've been able to voice our opinion on certain things that's happening, and we're able to tell a story how we want to tell it and not how other people want us to tell it.
So the exhibition is about reflecting and evaluating the future of industrial towns. It reflects on the past and issues raised within industrialisation in the communities that were hit by Thatcherism, and it reflects on the future and how we can grow personally from those experiences, hopefully perpetuating a better future. So the artworks were selected from the Arts Council collection with the help of their staff.
Me and the rest of the collective went through the catalogue and found each and every one that we liked and went through a process of elimination to choose which ones that we could fit and which ones went in with our theme. Our exhibition is different because of the youth input and because it is split into 2 parts distinctly, both the darker past and the brighter future and the transition period between the 2.
I'm most proud of the wallpaper that we made. We worked in collaboration with Foundation Press at Sunderland Uni to create a wallpaper based on the themes. And there's so much to look at and I feel like you could never get bored of looking at it.
When I first walked in, it was just so different to what I was expecting. Like I knew what I was going into, but when I walked in and the colour was just beautiful, it wasn't just a bland grey, it had like specks of purple and blue in that, as well as seeing the wallpaper for the first time. It just looked amazing.
I hope it allows people to see that there are futures within industrial towns and that the next generation is nothing like the past, but they've grown from their experiences.
Me and the rest of the collective hope that it will give an opportunity for growth in realising how far we've come and how much still needs to change.
When people visit the exhibition, we want them to feel welcome, and seeing the artworks to think a lot. There's a lot of thought-provoking artworks in there, and just really look around and see how they can be a better person coming out of it.
Hi, my name is Alina. So our group is called VIP Culture Trust, and it stands for Volunteer Integration Project of Young Asian Voices. As part of our 3 years partnership with Arts Council Collection, we've been working with local community groups around Sunderland to select a series of 3 print displays from Art Council Collection's print collections. And this display, called Young Artist Voices, is the 3rd and final from the series. It was a great opportunity for us to all work together as a team and just put all of our inputs in together and build something quite big.
So basically this art, it took 2 months for me to complete the Castle of Barriers. But still, I want to take everything, all my angle and equation onto my art. And I want to give thanks Yaf for giving me this platform so that I can showcase my work.
Young Asian Voices made connections with the Sunderland Culture staff as well as the Sunderland Museum. So they came to Young Asian Voices and offered this opportunity for our volunteers and staff to be involved in the art and culture project. This project is very much part of our organisation. It is very important because it represents diversity, it represents talents and skills of the ethnic minority young people showcasing within the city. So we have emerging artists coming through, we've got talented artists, so this is a platform that Sunderland Culture and Sunderland Museum has provided along with our organisation. This project also involved many people from our local community, young people as well as older people, as well as our groups such as Star FC group, ladies group, which do a lot of the tapestry workshops. So as a manager of the organisation, I'm very much excited.
I'd just like to say that this tapestry work actually gave a very big opportunity for the ladies who did the artwork, and obviously Grace and Perry inspired them to do tapestry work. So they put together a piece of artwork which came from obviously back home. Some of them drew the things that inspired them from where they come from, what background they came from. So it's a huge thing for them, and obviously they're looking forward to the next ones as well.
We have a theme of home away from home, and we wanted to express our home away from home that is here, and our home back home, what we have, the culture, the food, the art and various kinds of prints. So I wanted to display my art, that is dance, in places of Sunderland, which was really popular for people to visit. And the first place was Henshaw Monument, and then the second one was in the Mowbray Park with the Winter Gardens and Sunderland Museum in the backdrop. It really came out very well.
So for us, it's about showcasing diversity within the city and a sense of belonging within Sunderland. So it's an exciting time for our organisation and young people because we are here right beside the Grace and Perry exhibition at the Sunderland Museum. So this is a fantastic opportunity to showcase our culture and diversity within the city.